Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, and as you can see by the title down below, today I will be talking about how I wrote an effective statement of purpose for my Canadian student visa application. Now I will start by giving a disclaimer. I am not a legal immigration officer. I cannot provide legal advice. I am simply talking about this from my personal experience, and I implore you to do your own research. I will also be giving you a broken down timeline of from application to approval. I've been receiving questions as to how long it took and stuff like that. So stick around to the end of the video to hear exactly how long it took me from application to my school to submitting the visa application to when I got approved to when they requested biometrics, everything. But if this is something you're interested in seeing, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, leave a comment, and stay tuned. So for your Canadian student visa application, you are required to write a statement of purpose or a letter of explanation, which is basically explaining or answering any questions that you believe the immigration officer might have as it relates to the processing of your application. Now, particularly in Jamaica, at this time, we are not required to do an in-person interview for the processing of our application. Therefore, this piece of document is very critical as it relates to your visa being approved. Now, in my opinion, I don't believe that this letter should go past 2 pages, maximum 2 pages. I actually struggled to get this to fit on 2 pages. However, I got it done, but 1 page can suffice, but 2 page maximum, in my opinion. Now, I have my notes here. I'm just going to go through what I did and how I wrote my statement of purpose. So there are some critical information that you want to ensure is a part of your letter, and I would recommend you have a structure. So have a structure as to how you want your letter to flow. You don't want it to be all over the place. Therefore, it's good to have a structure that you are able to follow when you're actually writing your letter. Personally, I started off with an introduction, a brief introduction as to who I am, my career aspirations, the program I got approved to study, and my work experience. So it was very brief, just 1 paragraph, and I thought that that was good to just introduce yourself to the immigration officer and state your purpose of writing this letter. Another critical piece of information that you'd want to discuss in this letter is why you chose your program and why you chose to study in Canada. There are endless countries in the world that you could choose to study, but you chose to study in Canada. You have to have a reason as to why you chose Canada out of all the other countries in the world. Why are you choosing to study in Canada as opposed to your home country? So that question you definitely want to answer. You also might want to touch on your career aspirations. I said it in the introduction, but you want to ensure that you have some career goals as to why you're furthering your education. Talk about why you chose your school of choice, your program of choice, and everything around that. So there must be something that gravitated you to your program. There must be something that gravitated you to the school. So you want to explain that in your letter. Also, you might want to explain how this might be different from any program that you could have studied in your country. What are the advantages of choosing to study the program in Canada as opposed to studying it in your home country? So you have to basically compare and contrast the opportunity to study in Canada as opposed to studying in your home country or anywhere else in the world. So if your program of choice is similar to what you would have studied or your work experience, talk about how this program may enhance any employment opportunity you might get in your home country. So you should be able to state any benefit this program may have towards you and your personal growth. You can also talk about if you have any relatives in Canada. You can talk about what you plan to do for accommodation, if you plan to rent or if you plan to stay with family. If your family again are sponsoring you, you just ensure that you do your research as it relates to the affidavit of support. They would write, I did not do that, so I cannot speak much on it, but research what that is like and you garner your application around that. Speak about your intentions after the completion of your program. So whatever your intentions are, you want to speak about it in this letter. You could also talk about any ties that you have to your home country. And this could be anything from your business to family, anything at all that would be your main pull factor for you towards your home country. So I then went and talked about my finances, how I would be able to afford my studies and cost of living expenses, who will be paying for my studies, and my current financial position. So I showed proof of this by providing bank statements, and I also went and talked about my small business. It was an additional source of income, so I spoke about it. I elaborated on the business. I spoke about my investments, and so I gave a brief explanation as to what my business is about. I spoke about my business continuity plan whilst I'm in Canada studying, and I just elaborated that the business is a source of income and it will continue to be a source of income even while I'm studying. So yeah, if you have a business, if your business is legit, it's registered, you want to, it can be a plus for your application. It is a tie to your home country and it is a source of income. So don't forget to mention that you do have a small registered business. Yeah, so I just made sure I was able to show that I am able to afford my studies. I spoke about that I already made a deposit to my school, and I elaborated on my small business. And for proof of my business, all I attached was my business registration. And that was it. I ended my letter with a closing to just summarize everything that I stated above, my commitment to my program, that I knew my responsibilities as an international student, and I also attached every supporting document to support anything I said in my letter. But that was basically it. As I said before, you want the letter to be short, concise, and it encompasses every information that is critical towards your application. Now, your letter might look a little bit different because our personal circumstances might be different, but anything that is relevant in your life that you believe would be relevant to your application, you want to discuss it. You want to attach proof of everything that you're saying, and you want to ensure that your letter is not arising more questions, but it's answering the questions that you believe the immigration officer might have. Now, in addition to my statement of purpose, I have received questions about my timeline from application to approval, and I will just give a brief explanation as to what my timeline looked like. Now, as I said before, I wrote down everything and I have it written right here. And just to give you an idea of what my application looked like, so I applied to my school in January of 2022. So follow me. I applied to my school January 2022. I got my letter of acceptance from my school in January of 2022. So within 2 weeks of applying, I got my approval or my acceptance from the school. I was then in the process of gathering my documents, preparing myself, and my program was to start the following January. So I applied in January, the January of 2022, and my program was to start January of 2023, so 1 whole year. I then gathered my documents and I submitted my student visa application in June 16th of 2022. On the 17th of June, they requested my biometrics. So if you haven't done a biometrics for Canada within the last 10 years, you're required to do a biometrics, which is basically taking your picture and your fingerprints. So after the application was submitted on the 16th of June, they requested the biometrics on the 17th. I booked an appointment for June 21. So on June 21, I completed my biometrics, and then on June 23, they updated my portal to say that the biometrics was received, and I'm basically now just in the process of waiting for an approval. Anxiety. But on the 18th of August 2022, I got the approval. So from June 23, which was basically the day that they confirmed my biometrics, to August 18, that's how long it basically took to get the approval. I would say a month and some weeks. That's a month and some weeks, right? Yeah. And then, so after I got the approval on the 18th of June, they requested me that same day to drop off my passport. And little old excited me went to the Canadian Visa Application Center on the 19th, the next day. So I went and I dropped my passport at the office for the stamping of the visa and everything. So I delivered the passport on the 19th, and I received the port of entry letter, which is a letter that you will need to show the immigration officer when you land in Canada. I received that on the 23rd of August. So I dropped the passport on the 19th, received the letter on the 23rd. And then on the 24th of August, I received the confirmation that I am now able to pick up my stamped passport. And your girl went up there the same day. I was at work and I used my lunchtime and I went to the office and I just collected the passport. Yeah, and that was it. I got the approval in August. I basically could have been in Canada from August, but I didn't come to Canada. There wouldn't be any need to come this advanced to the program, because as I said before, that my program started in January. So I applied June 16, got the request to set an appointment for my biometrics. I got the biometrics date to be June 21, completed my biometrics on the 21st of June. They confirmed the biometrics on the 23rd of June. I got approved on the 18th of August. I dropped my passport at the application center on the 19th. Then I got the confirmation that I was able to pick up my stamped passport on the 24th. So that's how long it took. Landed in Canada on December 22, and that's basically it. I'm now here and I'm an international student. So if you have made it this far in the video, thank you for watching. I hope you write an effective statement of purpose. All the best, and just ask. Don't be afraid to do your research. Don't be afraid to reach out to people and ask them. Lots of people are actually quite helpful, and as I said before, if you need to use a representative, go for it. I always recommend the representative that I used. And yeah, if you feel like you are able to do the application by yourself, that's also totally fine. A lot of people have done it. It is possible. It's just that personally I chose not to, because the application process is a bit tedious and time consuming, and I wanted to ensure that I was crossing my T's and dotting my I's, because I'm very paranoid and anxiety would have killed me. So I just decided to use the representative. That's basically it. If you made it to the end of the video, thank you for watching. Leave a comment if you have any other questions. You can also feel free to reach out to me on Instagram. Like the video, share, subscribe if you're watching, and all the best on your application. See you in the next video.